Hello, everyone.
That's good. Good. Well, Cub, last media day of your career, I guess, we've been talking about this being your last fight for, so many months, but now that it's only a few days away, have you had the opportunity to has it sunk in yet? Are you kind of approaching this differently, or are you just kind of trying to tell yourself like, this is just a normal fight week. I just might not be fighting on Sunday after that.
Well, kind of both. First of all, let me say, let's keep the softball questions. I don't want to be up here crying, being a baby. Um, but yeah, it's been pretty. It's been pretty cool. I think I'm trying to have a little bit of both because at the end of the day, I still got to fight this guy on Saturday. I'm trying to soak it in, trying to enjoy it. But I have a job to do. I got a game opponent, and I'm just happy to be able to go out there and put on a show for the fans. I know this crowd's going to be awesome. Yeah, everything's set up for a great night. So I just need to go out there and perform.
And after your win over Billy in Tampa, I guess that everyone just thought that was such a perfect send off. And when they announced this fight, they were hyped about the fight, but they were like, why have another fight after that perfect send off? So I present that question to you. Why did you think you needed one more after that big win in Tampa?
Probably because I have problems. Uh, that's what we do. We're fighters, I honestly was very content to be done at that point, but I didn't want to. I had been talking about retirement and being very open to it, and I wanted to be 100% sure, and I didn't want to make an emotional decision, and so I kept it to myself. I tried to for a while, and I was really close to being done, and then Sean Shelby started asking if I wanted to fight again, and saying they'd love to have me, and just the opportunity came to shine a light on what I'm doing next, and it made sense, and yeah, I thought I could do one better than I did last time, and it really etched me in there. So yeah, that's what we do as fighters. We try to make sure we're leaving it all out there and having fun. So that's why I'm here.
And obviously, a lot of the narrative, one of the last two WEC fighters fighting 40 professional fights. You've said you've been thinking about retirement for a bit now. Did you think you would make it this far? Because like a lot of fighters we talked to early in their career, they're like, I want to hit 35 and I'm out. You've obviously gone past that. So I guess, did you think you would be still fighting at this point?
Yeah, when I hear fighters saying that, I'm usually thinking like they have no idea what they're talking about. They can't predict the future. They have no idea what a career is like in this sport. And but yeah, for me, I really didn't ever believe that I'd be fighting past 40. I remember me and my manager talking about it, and he used to scold me and say, "What are you gonna do after? You can't fight until you're 40." So that kind of makes me laugh a little bit. But I think a lot of other people have told me, Cub, ride it as long as you can, as long as you're in good health, take advantage, and you get a lot of things when you're in the spotlight, and you need to take advantage. And so I've still been able to hang with all the young boys. I got a whole crew of killers in my gym, and I hang with them just fine. And so yeah, I feel like I know I still got it, and I think this is a perfect time to go out there, have one last fight, and then turn my attention to coaching.
Well, I was going to ask about that. How's it been, preparing a Bloodline, correct?
Yeah.
Preparing that team and gym and, also preparing for this big fight. Because, like, Nate, he's always in a banger fight. Like, and you might not feel great on Sunday after this.
Yeah, and I've spoke about this. Like, I never fear my opponent anymore. I'm past that. Yeah. It's I fear waking up Sunday morning going like, God, that hurts. That's what I'm afraid of. But it is what it is. Yeah, my team Bloodline, they're the best team in the world. I'm gonna say that. I'm really happy with what these guys have been doing. I had Danny Silva and Le'Veon Douglas right before me, and that was a little bit of pressure to get them ready. But they stepped up and they did their thing, and now it's my turn. Then we got Rafa Garcia next, and then we got Richie Miranda that we're trying to get in the UFC here soon. So, yeah, I got a whole stable of guys, and they need my attention.
What was the thought process in padding the, I think it was the pool, rather than like cementing over, like making it a pit?
Well, it's funny. I go and I've seen all these gyms, and I'm always a fighter first when I'm coaching, managing, doing anything. I'm a fighter first, so that's my lens that I'm looking through. And I've been to so many gyms where they just have a terrible layout and they don't utilize the space. And I'm like, as a fighter, you need all the space possible. And so we were gonna fill in the pool and then move a wall back, but then we couldn't enclose it on all four sides legally because of fire escapes and stuff. So it wasn't going to work out. So we would have had to have two walls open. So you lose square footage. So then we had the idea of dropping it in the pool and having the staircases. And so it made like perfect sense. And we were like, man, this is kind of crazy. And this could be our calling card, the fight pit. And so, yeah, there's no other gym like it. We had to have a whole structural engineer, design it and do it. It was a lot of work, but there's no other gym like it.
And then I have to ask you about Nate, because you are getting in a fight on Saturday. What do you make of his skill set? Obviously, like a lot of people assume he's in a fight of the night, win or lose. What did you make of his name when it came across your desk?
Well, he's got a lot of heart. He's tough as nails. I'm pretty sure that my hands will hurt when I hit him in the face. I think he's one of those guys that their head hurts. But I like his style. He brings it. And I believe he just became a dad. So I think that we're kind of in a very similar boat. His age is very similar to mine.
Yeah, I think he phrased it as just two dads getting in a fist fight.
Yeah. So I love that. I'm at a different point in my career. I really don't want to, at this point, I don't want to get in a fight with a 22-year-old that just won't go down. I've done that. So I think that this is a great matchup. I think he's still going to have a great career after this. And, yeah, I'm glad we're meeting up and we're going to put on a great fight.
And then just last one for me. We found an interview with Nate from 7 years ago before he was in the UFC, and they said, who's your dream fight? Yeah, he said 7 years ago was his dream fight for him. So I guess to compartmentalize that, like you fought in like multiple generations of fighters. Like Nate wasn't in the UFC, and now he's sending you off. Almost everyone you fought in the first half of your career is no longer fighting. Have you thought about just like the amounts of generations that have come through that have had to go through Cub Swanson in their MMA journey?
I do think about that because often when I, run into people, they'll say, man, I'm such a big fan. I've been watching you since I was a little kid. So I get reminded quite often, which I find funny and I think pretty cool. But the main thing that I am proud of is that I've always been me. And in the history of my career, I feel like people saw the evolution of me. And so for people to see like me finish my career and everything I'm doing, I'm really proud of that.
Congrats on the career, man.
Thank you.
Cub, here. You had said that you weren't really interested in fighting 22-year-olds. Maybe not 22, but he's 24. Kevin Vallejos had called you out some months ago. I don't know if that ever got to you.
Who?
Kevin Vallejos.
Oh, okay. I had already spoke on this. I refuse to fight somebody with a stupid name like Kevin. And if you could find the humor in that, then you'll get it.
I don't. Do you want to elaborate or?
Do you know my name?
Cub.
Do you know my real name?
It's Kevin.
There you go.
Well, only one Kevin can be in the octagon.
Yeah, so I would love to put hands on him, but it's not in the cards for me right now. He could come to my gym, and I will gladly humble him anytime.
Okay. And has it been emotional this fight week, knowing that like it's like your last photo shoot, your last time talking to media? I don't know how much you like the media, but has it been emotional, like knowing that every single motion that you go through fight week will be your final one?
Yeah. I mean, it keeps getting emotional because people keep asking me the questions about it, but it's great to be recognized, and I think fighters, we ultimately just want to be seen and heard, and so with me, never fighting for a title and not being like one of the big stars, but I've had an amazing career. I feel like just getting that recognition is nice.
Yeah. We just were talking to Pitbull, and he referred to you as the king without the crown when just kind of reflecting on your career. And I gotta ask you, whenever like we hear your name, we always think about WEC, right? And WEC never die, and it seems that kind of has like a cult following, and you're obviously a face of that promotion, or we're a face of that promotion. Just since there's a lot of new fans in the sport, if you can just put into words more or less like what WEC meant for your career and for the sport in general, because it seems that it's a lot of fans have it in a very special place in their heart, at least the old school ones.
Yeah, it was at a time when the UFC didn't have the smaller weight classes, and we were the UFC, but we weren't getting the recognition, and so we were kind of like the little brother. And I just remember the culture of it. I remember being backstage when they give the fighter meetings, and there was times when Dana would say, "Hey guys, we have these executives here, and it's really important that you guys all go out there and show out." And we all kind of like, with our opponents there, we would like, "Okay, we got it. We know the mission," and we would go out there and just throw down. So I was really proud of that. It felt like a smaller thing, and we were always trying to get credit for all the hard work we were putting in. And then when we got absorbed into the UFC and the weight classes came over, we all shined. And I feel like that was a really good kind of breeding ground. It was kind of like guys doing the contenders now, but having to have 5 or 6 contenders fights and being on the circuit and then graduating up. I feel like a lot of people wouldn't have that. A lot of athletes wouldn't have that like first fight jitters as much, because you get kind of like graduated up. So I felt blessed to be a part of that. And yeah, it's a part of my journey, and it was a big chunk of my career. It's crazy to think that was only 4 years of my career. But yeah, it'll forever be in my heart.
Thank you, and best luck and congrats on your career.
Thank you.
Cub right here. You just had the 19th anniversary of your first featherweight fight 2 weeks ago. What would you say has given you the ability to stay in such a tough division for so long? Like, what would you attribute most to that?
My stubbornness, one. My ability to ask for help. My ability to adapt and try to be better, and I never bought my own hype. I think that's important. I never believed everybody when they said, "Oh, you're the best right now," or, and so I was able to continue to grow as an athlete and try to stay ahead of the curve. I think a lot of fighters will start to buy their own hype, and they don't think they need to mature or get better, and then the sport passes them by. You guys got to remember that this sport is still so young that every 5 years it's a new era, and so if these younger fighters aren't constantly developing and trying to get better, then they just disappear. And it trips me out all the time. I hear like a fighter's name, and I'm like, man, I forgot about that guy. He was the next big thing after me, like they came after me. They had a decent career and retired, and then I forgot about them, and I can't tell you how many people I remember like that. So for me to stick around this long, I'm definitely proud of that.
So you talked about the ability to ask for advice before. Jalen Turner talked about some advice you gave him before his comeback fight. What has it been now to go from the guy asking for advice to now being the one giving advice to the young and upcoming guys?
That's a great question because now it's like I went through these things for a reason. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And just going back to Bloodline a little bit, some of your top guys, Danny Silva, Le'Veon Douglas, not Jared, Rafa Garcia, all scored big KO wins in their last fights. Just your legacy is going to carry on through these guys. What does it mean to know that even though this may be your last fight, it's not going to be the last time your name is heard around the UFC for a while?
Yeah, I think, ultimately I remember moving from Palm Springs to Orange County and being in my bedroom, being on the computer, having to go to train, and just being so tired, and watching like Vanderlei Silva and Crow Cop and Vitor Belfort and watching all these amazing highlight videos like Roman Decker's, all these like great fighters, and going like, man, that's what I want. So for me to just kind of have a legacy and have made my mark on the sport, that means everything to me, and being able to pass on my knowledge in such a close space with my fighters, and being a small part of their success, it kind of means more to me than my own career.
Thank you for always bringing the violence.
I just wanted to ask: was there like ever like a fight out there that you expected to like have in your career, and then it just didn't happen?
Probably the Urijah fight. I mean, he's still trying to get me to do some kind of a match with him, but we've almost fought since King of the Cage, and I think they offered us like $800 to fight, and we both were like, no way. Like, we're going to fight for way more money someday. And that's just one that we've both been around for a long time, and we were right there so many times, and it just didn't happen. So, yeah, that one definitely got away. Cool. Thanks, guys.